climate, and people. These three connected issues that impact our lives and livelihood have brought us together today. More than 2,500 years ago, Lord Buddha, whose birthday we celebrate tomorrow, referred to the Himalayas as Pabatraja, Lord of Mountains, and said to his disciples, "The good shine from afar like the Himalayas." 2 eons later, we are at the brink of these mountains losing their shine given the impact of the climate crisis. It is difficult when you are living in a threatened environment to lead a peaceful life. The 2015 Paris Agreement seeks to keep global temperature rise well below 2 degrees centigrade this century and to pursue efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees. But according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, if emissions remain unchecked, warming is likely to reach 1.5 degrees centigrade around 2040 and 2 degrees by 2065. We need a unified voice. We need a collective action to advocate to keep the temperature below the 1.5 increase, as Chief Secretary rightly shared with us. But what is happening to the people of the Himalayas because of climate change is an appalling injustice and a searing indictment of the fossil fuel age. These communities need climate justice. And Nepal, my Nepal, is well positioned to advocate for increased attention and dedicated access to climate finance mechanisms for mountain communities based on the principles of climate justice. Nepal should forge ahead and become, and is becoming, the common voice of mountain countries. Dialogue like this one that we are currently engaging in should translate into a joint roadmap for continuous advocacy in international negotiations. So what next? Climate finance needs to grow significantly to ensure investment in resilience and maximize the effectiveness of nationally determined contributions or new national adaptation plans to attract financial support. Ambitious national climate action plans that covers all greenhouse gases and are fully aligned with the 1.5 degree temperature limit becomes a country's investment for the future. They become economic blueprints for growth and jobs, business investment for productivity opportunities and security for people and workforce participation, especially for women. After that, perhaps we need governments to establish a climate and development platform whereby climate vulnerable countries can attract private sector investments through innovative financing structures and risk mitigation mechanisms. These would facilitate large-scale projects and private investments in climate action, biodiversity, and social development. And I love the examples that were mentioned by Ms. Karen Welch, with the references that she mentioned. My dear Nepali colleagues and friends, you have hit the ground running with your national adaptation program actions. The world has been noticing your leadership on climate change issues for mountainous countries. Last year, the hosting of the highly successful Mountain Agenda visit of the Secretary General alerted the world to the magnitude of the crisis hitting the Himalayas. And this was also followed by the high-level roundtable at COP28 led by Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal. The meeting today also, and the hosting of this critical mass of critical thinkers and experts, the findings should lead to the SABSTA meeting in June 2024. So badai to the government of Nepal and the Ministry of Forestry and Environment for taking the lead on this agenda and for all those who contributed to help this organize this critical event. As the special representative of the Secretary General mentioned, UN globally and the UN in Nepal is committed to support you in implementing your obligations under the Paris Agreements and in your efforts to be champions to the mountain agenda. And I'm very proud to see all my colleagues, the UN colleagues present here. I wish you all the best in your discussions on Bahad, Manis, Rajal, Baya, Parivartan. Deri Deri Dhanyavad, and the best of luck.
This week, as we gather here to celebrate the historic achievement of the inclusion of issues of mountains in the outcome texts of COP28 in Dubai, we are also here to discuss and chart out way forward for addressing the challenges faced by mountains and to recognize the critical roles of mountains in addressing the climate change. The climate teams of Nepal, Kyrgyzstan, and Bhutan deserve a special mention for this achievement in Dubai. Honorable Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while Bhutan is proud to be the world's first carbon negative country, achieving this status entailed difficult choices, foregoing numerous economic opportunities to tread the path of sustainable development. Our Constitution mandates maintaining 60% forest cover to ensure sustainable ecosystem services and to fulfill our commitment to remain carbon neutral forever. These are proud achievements in our global climate commitment to move towards net zero. However, as we live in an interdependent world, the efforts and sacrifices of a single country or a group will not be able to drive significant impacts in our fights against climate change. Even under the best case scenario, wherein global warming is limited to 1.5 degrees centigrade, projections indicate that 1/3 of the glaciers in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region will disappear by 2100. As a country with over 98% of our land covered by mountainous terrain, the alarming annual retreat of our glaciers by 13 to 23 meters poses significant risks to our nation. This rapid melting not only imperils our glaciers, but also increases the risk of glacial lake outburst floods, posing devastating threats to the lives and livelihood of communities both in the mountains and further downstream. Climate change also threatens to undo Bhutan's environmental milestones in the areas of biodiversity conservation. My immediate thought therefore goes to that of the fate of charismatic snow leopards that roam our mountains and have played critical role in regulating the mountain ecosystem as a keystone species. While other species at the lower elevations may adapt and shift upwards, the snow leopard, dependent on glaciers and snow, faces the risk of extinction. Honorable Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this dialogue comes at an opportune time for securing our majestic mountain ecosystem, and the next 2 days should yield significant inputs for the mountain roadmap and the strategy for BON 2024 and beyond. Therefore, the Royal Government of Bhutan urges all countries and stakeholders to recommend concrete outcomes that are sustainable and would strengthen the resilience of these ecosystems. Our discussions here in Kathmandu should create linkages to the UAE framework for global climate resilience to take mountain agendas forward with targets on ecosystems and mountains to drive action on mountain issues and the role of mountains in transboundary adaptation and international cooperation. Bhutan, in partnership with everyone here, seeks once again to echo that next month's BON dialogue must lead to an inclusive roadmap, leaving no one behind in the process. And we reiterate our call for a separate work program on mountains and climate change. The fight against climate change, as I said earlier, cannot be won without protecting mountain ecosystems, as these mountains act as a giant carbon sinks. Their degradation would accelerate global warming, creating domino effect of environmental disasters, both for the mountains and the downstream ecosystems. Therefore, we must all act with sense of urgency and resolve. In conclusion, as we, politicians, policymakers, and experts gather here, immersed in technicalities and negotiation narratives, I wish to end my statement with the poem of my 11-year-old son, one among millions who call these mountains home. I quote, "Majestic peaks that touch the sky, guardians of earth standing high, homes to cultures old and grand, nourishing every arid land, we must protect their towering grace, for in their strength our future lies," unquote. So with this, I would once again like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Royal Government of Bhutan as well as my delegations here to sincerely thank the Honorable Prime Minister and his government here in Nepal for hosting this very important dialogue here. And likewise, I like to take this opportunity to wish everyone gathered here who are participating here in this dialogue a very fulfilling 2 days dialogue. So thank you so much, Tashi Dalek, and Namaste.
We are very happy to welcome our very delighted guest, Honorable Minister Sabir Hussain Chaudhary for Environment, Forest and Climate Change of Bangladesh, and Honorable Yonchen Phunso, Minister for Agriculture and Livestock, Royal Government of Bhutan. Your Excellencies, kindly accept our welcome. I welcome Honorable Minister of Federal Parliament who have paid keen interest on climate change. I would like to welcome all the dignitaries in the dais who has contributed and supported us to a large extent. I also extend my sincere welcome to our esteemed international guests. I would like to welcome to Chair of the UNFCCC's subsidiary body of scientific and technological advice, special representative of the President of the Kyrgyz Republic on mountain issue, Hana Hamdi, Chair of the Public Service Commission of the Royal Government of Bhutan, Director General of ISIMOD and Intergovernmental Organizations, Director General of International Big Cat Alliance, Global Coordinator of Mountain Partnership, and all the participants. I would like to welcome all experts, keynote presenters, moderators, panelists, and speakers in the event. I heartily welcome to all participants who accepted our request and participated in this August gathering. Honorable Chair and Excellencies, mountains are the nature-gifted avenues and amenities. They are not only property of Himalayan countries, but also the property of entire world. All of us know that climate change is creating challenge to the entire globe, irrespective of the continents, regions, zones, and locality. The effects on mountains are severe and critical. Both mountains and island countries and their people are facing multiple crises of temperature rise, erratic rainfall, drought and desertification, landslides, floods, inundation, forest fire, glacier melting, sea rise level, and many more challenges. The effect of climate change are equally witnessed to downstreams. This has created challenge to people who live in the area and downstream to it. The challenges are adverse effects are observed in the culture, agriculture, biodiversity, economy, tourism, and livelihood of the people. I would like to recall the 37th conference of the EFAO for Asia and Pacific recommended to support country-specific financial investment plan tailored to the specific context of each country, including high mountain and Himalayan countries, and continue facilitating private sector engagement in agricultural food system transformation in line with the EFAO strategy. Moving further ahead, it's now time to call for saving and protecting mountains from climate change effects. In this connotation, Government of Nepal organize this dialogue with broad issues concerning mountains, peoples, and climate change. We think the voice raised in this dialogue represents the voice of the mountainous countries and the downstream countries. This dialogue on mountain people and climate change is carried out with the following objectives: develop a shared platform group of mountain partnership to raise awareness of mountain vulnerability to climate change, promote collaboration for common understanding and proposition of the mountain countries, and give mountain communities their due attention in international and regional processes, explore and exchange knowledge, research and innovative solutions for adapting to climate change, addressing loss and damage to mountain peoples, share value and promote multilateralism, collaborations and partnership concerning technology transfer, capacity development, and climate finance for mountainous nations and downstream nations and their inhabitants. We want to generate additional resources in terms of finance and technologies. This two-day dialogue will be centered around three broad themes: climate, science, and evidence from mountain and beyond, mountain solutions, common ground and common understanding, and mountain perspective, resources and opportunities, and 9 sessions. Excellencies and participants, we welcome your valuable contributions, expertise, and knowledge to make this event successful. The outcome of this dialogue will synthesize our knowledge that will help to address our common and interlinked issues. We hope this will help to streamline our voices in the upcoming UNFCCC expert dialogue on mountain and climate change, and take additional decision on mountain and amplifying the finance and adaptation target for common benefits. I welcome all media persons and request to convey the message to all stakeholders for better outcomes. Finally, I welcome everyone and active participant for making this dialogue successful. I wish you a pleasant stay in spiritual, beautiful, and historic place of Chandragiri here in Chandragiri. Thank you. Namaste.